Hi.
Hi.
So I know a little bit low energy, and I'm actually feeling a little bit low energy too. So to get us in the groove of it, I thought maybe I can talk about breathwork and you can just listen for a while. Sound good?
Yeah.
And then we can just like slowly get into
How are you
it.
gonna breathe?
If we feel like it. So I've been thinking quite a lot about how I want to teach breathwork because I've looked into so many different styles over the years, and I've broken it down into like 6 or 7 types of breathwork. And I've never actually broke it down like this, so I'm going to try and test it out on you. I think that people talk about breathwork like it's supposed to be this all-encompassing thing, and it's one of those phrases that doesn't really mean very much because you don't know what the person is talking about. You can have breathwork to recover in between exercise bouts. You can have breathwork to calm yourself down. You can have breathwork that's traditional, sort of like meditative type practices. And you can have breathwork to help people with anxiety. There's so many different versions of you can have breathwork to calm yourself down. And so the categories that I've been thinking about, the first is something I call awareness breathwork, where it's pretty much just about interoception, as in figuring out and feeling how the breath feels. And it's about feeling what's happening, because once you tune into that sense, it's like layer 1 of mindfulness. It's like layer 1 of building some presence. Now, what is that practice when you taught me years ago when you have trouble sleeping?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That, but then like a slightly more advanced version of that, where you lie down and then you like gradually get parts of your body to relax.
Progressive muscle relaxation.
Progressive muscle relaxation. So I kind of look like I kind of look at awareness breath work similar to progressive muscle relaxation, where the whole point of it is to tune in to your body. And once you do that, then you stop thinking about all the other bullshit that you don't need to be thinking about for, what you're trying to do right now. The second layer of breathwork is centering breathwork. It's stuff that helps us settle and pause, and maybe the feeling is like to return to yourself. And this would be something that calms you down, like the cyclic sigh or the physiological sigh, that sort of thing, or a double length exhale. So 4 counts in through the nose and 8 counts out. And usually when you extend the exhale longer than the inhale, it calms you down. And usually at this level, when you breathe in through the nose, it calms you down. And when you breathe in and out through the nose, it calms you down. And when you breathe in and out through the mouth, it tends to amp you up. Those aren't like set rules, but when you're just learning, like that's a helpful frame to have. And then I think the next layer below that is coherent breath work. And this one, there's a good amount of research on as well. The centering breath work, like the cyclic sigh, physiological sigh, box breathing, there's some research on that. For the coherent breathing stuff, it's literally called coherent breathing, and it's resonant breathing. There's some research by the heart math people, but also you can just go on Spotify and you search coherent breathing, and there are some playlists, and it's basically 5.5 seconds in, 5.5 seconds out. And the playlists go in a certain rhythm, and you just breathe according to that rhythm. And it has been shown to just get you to central nervous system state of neutral. Just chill. And so you can use it when you are too low and you want to come back to neutral, or you can use it when you're too high and you want to come down to neutral. It's like the simplest form of breathing. And it can be a little bit boring, but if you give it like 5 minutes, you can really feel the effects of it. And so it's about rhythm and resonance and steadiness. So we got awareness breath work, we got centering breath work, we got coherent breath work. And then the next layer is energizing breath work. So in the yoga tradition, you have stuff like breath of fire, but in a practical setting, it's the kind of thing that I do at 3:30 p.m. when I don't want to have another coffee, but I want to get my energy up for whatever task is at hand, where you utilize more rapid and more inhale heavy breathing techniques to amp your energy up. And this one is when I do when I teach people breathwork and I do breathwork workshops, this is the stuff that people feel the most because you feel it very quickly. And then I think below that, we have resilience type breathwork, where you would use this, like there's a system of breathwork developed by this Russian scientist, Buteyko, who is kind of the basis for this whole system called oxygen advantage, which I've studied as well. And resilience breathwork is about training yourself to get better at tolerating CO2. So CO2 tolerance is one of the things that is linked to your stress resilience, basically. And a lot of the breathwork practices that you do, especially the more advanced ones in this resilience breathwork sort of category, it's about training your body to be okay and your nervous system to be okay when you're pretty low oxygen and pretty high CO2. And you just sort of retrain your body to be like, oh, it's okay that I'm here. And, hard exercise already does it for you. And it's one of the reasons why hard exercise is good for people with anxiety. There's research on this as well. When you have panic disorder and you do 2 weeks, there's a couple of papers, but one of the pilot studies, maybe 2022, was if you do 2 weeks of every other day, like 20 minutes of high intensity interval training, which is just really like get really out of breath, and move really fast, and be very active for, I think it's like 30 seconds, and then you chill out for 30 to 60 seconds, and you repeat it for 20 minutes. It was something like a 40% drop in panic attack frequency in people with severe panic disorder after just 2 weeks of doing this type of training, right? So I think this is me trying to add my spin on it. I think part of the reason why the hard exercise works so well for this is it gets us more comfortable with the low oxygen, high CO2 states. And that in some ways translates to, okay, when I'm out there and something happens in the world and I get a stress response, now I'm not so scared of it. Now I'm not thinking like, oh no, high heart rate means I'm going to panic. I'm not thinking, oh, I'm out of breath, I'm going to panic. I can hang. So awareness breathwork, centering breathwork, coherent breathwork, energizing breathwork, resilience breathwork, and then sledgehammer breathwork. And sledgehammer breathwork in the research is called conscious connected breathing. And these are 20, 30, 40, 50-minute long, 90-minute long. I've done like 3-hour long sessions of this type of breathwork in training, where the physiological effects that you feel are akin to psychedelic effects that people get when they do these therapies that are now studied with psilocybin or whatever. And it's talked about in the research, like you get a percentage of that effect, obviously without the drugs. And having experienced this stuff before, it really does feel like a sledgehammer. It feels like brute force sort of access into maybe the word is your subconscious, or maybe the patterns that are going on in the background, or, it exposes feelings and maybe things from your history that needed to come to the surface that you have not spent enough time thinking about. It seems to have that sort of effect. It makes you face some stuff that you've been having trouble to face. And in this sledgehammer breathwork, there's like the Wim Hof stuff is like sort of the starter pack for that. And then there's conscious connected breathing, there's holotropic breathing. There's so many different styles of this like really long breathwork, these really long breathwork practices that have the similar effect of sort of cracking you open and exposing. And I am on the fence about teaching sledgehammer type breathwork online. Everything else, all the stuff before that, I feel like it can be done virtually. But with the sledgehammer stuff, because it's so sort of brute force, if you're not there to help someone through it and now they have all this like, emotional stuff being exposed, I don't know how much of a risk it is, but it just doesn't quite feel right for me at this point in life. So awareness breathwork, centering breathwork, coherent breathwork, energizing breathwork, resilience breathwork, and sledgehammer breathwork. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's pretty simple to follow.
Nice.
I think the awareness breath work and the interceptive
Yep.
could kind of be
Yeah, I talked about it
They're
like two
similar.
separate things, but here I have it written as the same thing.
yeah.
It shows how well prepared I am. Yeah, I agree. You get that's it feels like the same thing. It feels like the same thing. And I don't know where to take it from here. It's not like we need to figure this out on this call, but I'm trying to figure out a way.
Not in a call.
Sorry, on
dear.
this podcast. I feel like I want to categorize these so practitioners like you have even more language to dose depending on what the situation is, right? And I feel like the breathwork community is like super woo-woo and like spiritual on one side, and then super sciencey and technical on the other side, and all of it is cool. And
I think it would be good if it was structured in a way that labels it so you know what the tool is for. So it's almost behavioral, right?
yeah.
I think the ones that, is very clear, right? It helps you energize, or it helps you calm down, or it helps you access things that you haven't been able to take a good look at or you're fearful of, right? Like those are very clear what it can be used as.
I agree. And I think the sort of lighter layer than that, we can also use the awareness and the centering breath work, the box breathing or double length exhale or the physiological sigh to as a practical tool someone who is battling with anxiety can use, or someone that is going through a particularly stressful time and they need to calm their shit down before they go into this meeting. I think the energizing breath work works very well as well. I have been thinking about how to dose it for when people are trying to sleep as well and they're just having difficulty there. I guess depending on the profile of the person and whatever they're going through, I would pick a different one of these breathwork categories to apply there.
And also people connect with different practices differently. Some
That's a good
people are
point.
far more audio. Some people need it to be somewhat physical, like actually doing. Some people can be more into the senses. So how it feels in my body as I'm doing it. Some people are very conscious about music or sound, right? So it will help them get into the practice more or less.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and it's helped me answer a question that I've had in my mind, which is I'm trying to think about right now. I've taught people like a category at a time, or a mix and match of it if they just have 1 hour or they just need a tool now. And I was thinking before this, would I want the system to be like, you have to start with awareness breath work and then centering breath work and then coherent breath work? But I think the answer is no. I think it's whatever tool serves you now. Let's just start there. Yeah, I think so.
Whatever tool you need for that moment of what you're struggling with.
Yeah. Would you like to do some?
Yeah.
Or later?
I don't mind doing a energizing.
Really?
Yeah, I'm tired.
Okay, let's do a little bit of awareness and then a little bit of coherent, and then we'll do the energizing.
We had time to do all that and still have conversations?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. We'll just do like 3 minutes of it.
Okay.
Okay, so if we close our eyes and just breathe normally. And try and breathe in through the nose and then out through the mouth. And then just keep breathing. And as you take your next breath in, try and follow the air trickle in through the tip of your nose. And release. And on the next inhale, follow it even deeper. See if you can trace it all the way down as it expands into your lungs. And now on the exhale, feel the warmth as it passes through your tongue in your mouth and your lips. And now combine those. Inhale, feel the tickle in and feel it drag all the way in and open up into your lungs. And exhale and feel the warmth. Feel the moisture. Okay, we're going to do 5 counts now on the inhale and 5 counts on the exhale. And in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. And inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale. Smoothing it out if you can on the inhale, and inhale. 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, keep your eyes closed and just breathe normally, whatever feels natural. Now we're going to do some energizing breath work. And what we're going to do is in and out only through the nose, just so we temper it a bit so it's not too intense. And what we're going to do is a 6 count inhale and then a 3 count exhale. If in the middle of it you find that the 3 counts is not enough to blow the air out, then you can exhale through the mouth. Does that make sense? You can nod if it makes sense.
Wait, if it's not enough time to blow it out through my nose, then
you can blow it out through your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah? In 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And exhale. 2, 3. And inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3. 3 more. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3. Last one. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Do you feel like calm, energized, like shaking the state a little bit?
Yeah. Calm. Not crazy.
If we had done through the mouth and it was like, like that, it would have been before the energizing part, then you would feel like tingly excited now. But I think you'd appreciate that so much.
Probably best you didn't.
Welcome back.
Hey.
Of the topics that we were sort of chatting about before, was there anything specific that stood out to you that you wanted to chat about first? Or was there anything else on your mind that was not on this list that you think might be a good place to start?
Well, I feel like if I bring up another topic now, we won't have time to talk about the topics that we're going to talk about.
Just like last week, I'll just move them into the next. Yeah, it's whatever feels interesting. Screw the script.
Just been feeling concerned about how much parents affect their children and how captive children are to their parents and their wills, their desires, their ways of thinking and directing them. It's like some parents take the responsibility too seriously, I think. and don't give themselves enough grace. And then I think you have the opposite kind who don't see how important it is that they think about and act carefully with their children. I think...
I kind of don't want to talk about this because I did something that I feel really bad about.
Oh, no.
No, but we should.
We all do.
No, but we should, though. I find it very troubling because they can't get it right all the time and you don't know which one is going to fuck them up.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't get it right all the time, but you just have to keep forgiving yourself for a bad job and then trying to do better the next time. Yeah. I think the scariest ones are when you're not even aware that maybe you've done something. And if the two parents, like if you and I had the same biases and then we both didn't realize that something we were doing was affecting our child, that's the scariest because it goes unknown. And then we can't really be fixing it if we don't really know we're doing it.
I think maybe a helpful way to discuss this would be if you can think about a couple of maybe clients from the past and where it was really obvious that after digging that the way that they ended up, in part because of how they grew up and how their parents treated them, like what are some common examples or like something that stands out?
That's like basically every single client I have, that to say that how they were raised or brought up affected how they are today. But are you asking about more severe cases?
I think maybe the most common ones, because that would be the most practical, as in like the most applicable for most people.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about some of them here before, right? Like the ones about an overbearing parent, which is quite common in Asian society, a dismissive parent, or like too busy parent, also quite common in our parts. There's also parents who just have these ideas of what's best for you, right? They're just so sure that they know and that without them, you don't know anything, right? I'm the parent. I've been through life. I know what the world is like. You're just a silly young child who doesn't know anything. So any opinion you have is a silly little idea that and nowadays a lot of parents say that you've picked up on social media, but you have no idea about the real world. So I'm going to tell you how you need to do it.
Which is necessary as a parent in many scenarios, right? When you see your kid going in a certain direction, like it's kind of your job to be like, hey, that's bad news over there. Don't go there. So how do we know? How do we know when it's okay to do and when it's not? I
think the trick is, even if when your child first starts talking about something, like, oh, I want to go out with my friends and we want to do this, like we want to see what happens if we go to JB by ourselves or something like that. Your instinct may be like, no way, you're not going with your friends. You guys are a bunch of like 15-year-old boys. Like you're definitely going to get into trouble. No way. That's your instinct. But instead, we should say, okay, tell me more about this idea. Like, what are you thinking, right? Like, okay. And ask more and more and more and more so you actually know what they're thinking. Because what if your kid said, yeah, we're thinking about it, but we also want to be really safe. So we've decided like that we've researched this and we're going to go only to this place. And after we go here, and we're going to be keeping in contact with you just in case anything else. Like what if they'd planned it out so amazingly well and they'd thought about the dangers and they'd mitigated them? You'd almost be proud and say, all right, well, I'm not as worried anymore, right? But if you don't hear them out, then you don't know. You
don't give them a chance to show the new version of who they are, right?
Of course, they could then say, we're going to go crazy, we've got beards, like, and then that's another question. Like, what do you do then?
But the point is to give them some space to flesh out why they think this is a good idea before you impose your don't you ever say that again.
Yeah.
Like, you know, don't you dare do that or
Yeah.
think that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I guess if they start sharing more with you and it doesn't sound like the best idea, instead of saying, well, that's ridiculous, isn't it? Because da 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 da, which obviously makes it such that they don't want to tell you anything ever again. Instead of doing that, we go, okay, but then if you guys are going to be drinking lots of beers, how do you think you're going to be feeling after that? Like how, what's the last time you had 3 beers? Have you had 3 beers before? You know what I mean? So you just talk to them about it to get them to think through what it will be like.
Not that we're endorsing teenage drinking.
Yes, not that we are. But that's the thing is, as parents, you fear that if I ask more, I'm endorsing it because I'm talking to you about it. So they feel the need to shut it down straight away.
But you really are just asking
It doesn't mean you're
questions.
endorsing it. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to ask more and be like, oh, interesting, okay.
The kid will probably value your opinion more and be less annoyed at you as a human if you just showed some curiosity for how they think.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost the same situation with our 6-year-old, right? Like, if she goes, "Hey, is it okay if I pick my nose and eat it?" Right? If straight away you're just like, what? That's disgusting, and you like shame her, then she's never going to ask you again a question that she's truly curious about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's actually happening. And so we have to try to be curious and understand, oh, okay, like, well, you know, how come you're doing that? And, you know, what do you think? And we asked her, what do you think that's for? Like the boogers and the mucus in your nose. And then we talked to her to think about the consequences, right?
Yeah.
It's almost the same, but just at a higher level for as the child gets older.
Yeah. It is, and I'm pausing because I'm starting to get a bit scared of like what the conversations will become, because she already stumps me sometimes.
Yeah.
She already asks me things and I'm like, I don't know the rule on that. Like, I don't know what we're supposed to do. I think this is part of it too with parents, right? Kids are so intelligent and they pick up on so many things that we also feel like we need to have an answer when they ask something, and we're just like 1 or 2 prods away from having to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
But instead of saying, I don't know, parents feel like they need to be the authority. So they put their foot down and they go, stop asking so many questions.
Oh, that's a ridiculous question.
Yeah. And like, I feel like it might be a helpful mindset for the kid to have, that even adults don't really fully know what's going on, and that's okay.
And I feel like I might be on the opposite end, because I feel like so many times recently she's asked me a question and I've said, actually, I don't know the answer. Like, I know a bit about this thing, but I don't know the answer to that. So I think we need to look it up. Or, and then she always goes, ask Uncle Mikey.
Yeah. That's true. He knows a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And I think it is healthy for them to know you don't know everything. But I do admit that I have a slight worry that she's going to be like, Mama doesn't know anything. Like, why would I even ask her?
I think we're both stupid then, because like my recent thing is, I don't know, but you should ask an adult. And then she'd be like, you're an adult. I'm like, shit, really?
But I'd like to think that we help her figure stuff out, because sometimes she'll ask something we don't know and we actually go check, right? We check with her. We try to check with her.
Yeah.
And then try and understand, like, why is the sky blue? She asked the other day.
So then if we zoom back into sort of like the more serious things, I'm thinking like, if I'm trying to link this to the voice that we end up having in our heads, right? That I think it feels like too much pressure for me to say now because we're discussing it, but it feels like in our worst moments, when we behave in ways that we are really not proud of, if those moments stick with our kids, that's what becomes the thing that
really negative self-talk. Right?
Yeah. And I think I'm trying to think of a scenario. like it's just I know the pattern. It's like I'm tired and we're hungry and I'm grumpy and I'm stressed out about something unrelated, and she'll ask me something, or she'll demonstrate typical kid behavior like taking too long to do something, and my response will be just over the top. It'd be like unnecessary.
Yeah, like a lecture on you're not being responsible, the right thing to do.
Or like I've told you so many times, and like she's 6, right? And then you see her going like, oh, and then I'm like, oh shit, like I didn't mean to do that.
And the feeling I think for her, and not just when you do it, but also when I do it, is I think it's I feel ashamed, right? Like I feel ashamed that I've disappointed them.
I've let them down,
Right? Yeah, so then in a later moment in life, when she feels ashamed of herself, that's probably the voice she hears. You should know. You've been told so many times, right?
Yeah, and I think maybe not in our household and the household that I grew up in, but I think in typical Asian households, it's also there are behaviors or there are patterns from your childhood that result in you thinking the only way to feel worthy is to produce great results, right? It's like when you just hammer the kids so hard about having to be top in class and do their best and outwork everybody else. When they get to adulthood, they don't really know how to seek approval and validation in any other way, right? I feel like that's a really common one here.
Yeah. Seeking validation, seeking approval, achievements to make yourself feel better.
And I don't know if there are any other tricks or tools we can use, but to, I guess, dilute the effects of it on our kids, or to at least give them moments where they can develop a deeper understanding, or give them an option to work on it at some point in life. The only thing that I have that I unfortunately do like too frequently is when I react in a way that I'm not proud of to the kids, or at least to Michaela, because she's 6, so she can understand, I will approach her after and I will apologize for it. And I'll say, look, this happened and then I reacted this way. I think that was not cool. And not just is it not cool, but I should have done this instead and I'm not proud of it, so I'm sorry. And by extension of this, because I could see when I did that from when she was maybe, I don't know, like 3 or 4, she started to understand that, oh, okay, like he acts in a way and he will acknowledge it's not that good, and then he'll offer a different way of doing it. When she got a bit older, like 5 or so, I started a pact with her where she can, after the fact, tell me when I've been too grumpy and when she thinks that the emotional reaction was too much. And it took maybe about a year for me to have to pry it out of her, but it will literally happen now where sometimes I don't even register that I'm speaking to her in kind of a shitty way. And then later that night when I put her to bed, or the next day, usually later that night when I put her to bed, she will ask me, or she will say, you were a bit too grumpy then. How come you were so grumpy then? Or what were you angry about then? And she would try and clarify. And then I would have to have this moment of explaining that actually that had nothing to do with you. I didn't even realize I was doing that. Sorry about that. And I figure if I can't be perfect, at least I can create moments to help her understand that I'm not perfect and I'm not like the right example of how to do it. I don't think that takes away all the effects, all the bad effects of like our bad patterns, but it's the only tool that I have really right now.
Yeah. I think also encouraging her that even if we might say something a certain way, other people might say something a certain way, she still needs to be the judge of whether she agrees with that or not. Right? Like if we say...
At 6?
Yeah, she can.
Yeah,
like,
I think she can.
I've asked her before, like, did that feel like that was true? Did you agree with Mama that Mama said that you were being really naughty and you were saving up all the bad behavior for me, right? She said no, she didn't agree. She didn't feel it was true. And then I realized, okay, like
actually, we did it the other day with a different situation, right? You asked her, was I rude to that guy? Do you remember? Yeah, so she can have commentary about stuff that happens out there in the world too.
So we're training her and teaching her, right? By asking her, and it can be to do with us or to do with a teacher or a friend, right? But then we help her to logic out or rationalize why it does make sense. The evidence proves it, or it doesn't make sense and I don't agree. Right?
Yep.
I think that's a really helpful tool for her.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think just in general, teaching them the skill of talking about it and understanding the value of emotions that they feel, emotions that the other person feels, and the reasons why those things happen and the reasons why that people react to it is definitely a good thing.
Yeah.
Because we don't get taught that. We don't get taught the language of it until much, much later if you happen to study the right shit, right?
So sometimes you have a part to play in how that went. And sometimes it's so little to do with you and so much to do with them, right? It's
What do
the
you mean?
other person.
Like what's an example of that?
So say, for example, someone's like, I say to her, ugh, like, you know, I'm so tired of your behavior. I can't take this anymore. You're always, you know, rubbing Mama up the wrong way and being difficult to handle, right? In that moment, if she realizes that actually she was just saying, Mama, can I have a drink of milk? And that was my response. Was it more about her or was it more about me? In that moment, it was probably more about me. I was having a tough time, a tough day. And then I said it was her, right? So if she can differentiate between the two, is really good, right? Causal analysis, by the way, is the word for that.
Yeah.
What caused it? Was it me? Was it them? Was it both? Was it a situation? Right?
Yeah, I think maybe that's why, because I don't think I do specifically that with her, but maybe because you've been doing this, I think it was, I don't know, maybe like 5-6 months ago, didn't she come to you and talk to you about someone else in the family telling her to stop crying? And I was very surprised that she said that. So maybe you can describe that situation, because I thought it was brilliant. I don't think I would have said that at 6 and been able to describe it with that type of confidence.
Yeah, I was actually surprised she said it as well. She said, I'm trying to think whether I can say it without naming names. But she basically said, so-and-so told me, or should I just say the name?
No, it's up to you.
Well, okay, I mean, it's really what happened, so I think it's fine. She said, Gong told me to stop crying and finish my food up, right? And I was really upset because I didn't want to stop crying. I was upset and it felt like I still needed to cry. And I think she might have said it more like, you know, I felt like I still needed to cry, is how she put it. And she said, could you please tell Gong that I don't like it when he tells me to stop crying, because if you don't tell him, he's going to do it to Xander as well. And I don't want Xander to have Gong tell him that, because when you need to cry, you need to cry, right? So I thought that was really good, because she knew that it wasn't quite right by our standards or what we had taught her. She somehow knew that it wasn't quite right for her to be asked not to cry.
Yeah, and I feel like so many of us, I was just talking to someone else yesterday about this, that at some point we all learn that we need to hold it in and we need to just get over it and power through. And I hope she doesn't lose that. I feel like if you need to cry, you should just cry. I think there's a bit of a gray area there, because I think we all also understand that if you're one of those that does it sort of like performatively and to seek attention and to, you take it too far to make a big scene out of it. Obviously, that's not what we want. But there's a huge gray area there. And the solution is not to not cry, because that will cause issues. Like the emotion, the pent-up emotion will come up as something else down the road. Like poor health, anxiety issues, anger issues, whatever it is, right?
But the reality of the situation is that I know I've personally said that before as well. I think the moments that I've said it have been where I've really been at my wit's end. She's screaming and crying really loudly, and my nervous system is also really playing up. Yeah. I know I've said before, Michaela, I just need you to stop, right? And I'm thinking, just to caveat that situation, that my dad probably only said it at that point as well. Like when he was really trying, he had been trying quite a long time and quite hard. And
she was taking the piss.
I'm not sure she was taking the piss, but he was tired and he was a bit like, all right, this needs to stop kind of thing. Obviously I don't know at which point it was.
But that's super tricky, right? Then how do you navigate that, right? Because I mean, I feel like I only get it right sometimes with Michaela when she's just like losing it late at night, can't go to bed, doesn't want to. Yeah, but I feel like I will hold her and I will calmly talk to her about, it's okay, just let it out. Like, Papa's here for you. And as she's screaming her face off, I'm trying to explain to her that, or trying to just, like, when you're ready, you can calm down, and we know that if you just let it get too far, and we use the word moshi, right? Yeah. Which is like when she was 2 years old and we were teaching about emotions, that was too big of a word for her, so she would say moshi. She's feeling moshi. So then I would say, even at 6 now, I tell her that when you're feeling too moshi, or when you let yourself get too moshi, then it gets really frantic. It gets very difficult to calm down after that. You start feeling a bit sick. Your nose gets blocked. So I said, you can cry if you need to, but don't let it go too far. Yeah. Actually, that's the thing I say the most. Like, look, you can cry. I'm here for you, but don't let it go too far, okay? And then I'll just say that a few times, and then you'll feel, and she's told us this, right? Like the pattern of crying, that you need to let it out. And then after that, it'll go like, like, and then it'll become less and less. She said this, right? It'll become less and less, and it's just, and then it's done.
But the difficult thing is, okay, firstly, we all get pushed to our wits' end at some point. And I think that's normal and that's fine as a caretaker or a parent. That's the point, I think, where you're supposed to pass the baton to a different adult who can take over. If there's one there. And who can hold the space for that crying or whatever is release of emotion, right? But yes, is there a point where it gets too much and there'll actually be a good idea to temper it? That's the part.
I don't know. There's a part of me that wants to say it's too like Chinesey, but I feel like this thing of the person you're interacting with has hit their limit. So be a good citizen and shut up, right? Like that's that.
You
really,
mean?
But that is the programming, right?
You mean be considerate? You mean think of others,
and shut the fuck up? Yeah, right. Like, but that's what it feels like, and there's
value to that.
Yeah, and this is the commentary that we have sometimes when we're out, and I don't want to draw certain types of attention. It's the same thing. I feel like, oh, this is like inconsiderate and disruptive to the people
and society.
Yeah, and it makes them uncomfortable, and I'm not comfortable with that. But it's like weird situations where I'll feel that it's the same thing, because I don't necessarily agree totally with that pattern, but it's helpful to some degree. I don't know. I wish there was a better way I wish we could formulate something that's easier to understand about when you should just like stop and rein it in, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's an exact formula to it, but I do think it is express it And then when you feel you've given it the space, the understanding, then it's okay to stop.
That's quite an interesting train of thought, because maybe we can solve it if we can define what is the value of the emotional release. Just in this box here of kid is upset about something because she got told that she was not allowed to do something because it was too late at night. She can't have a piece of cake because it's too late at night. She needs to go to bed, so she loses it because she's overtired. What is the value of the crying in that scenario? Because if we can identify the value of the crying, then we can try and figure out, okay, when have we achieved that value? And then we can stop.
The value is to have the physiological release of the pent-up emotion.
So I feel unjust. I feel like I really want...
Or I'm really upset about it. You might even not feel it's unjust. You might, in her circumstance, she might know that it's the right thing, but I just really want it, and I'm really upset that I can't have it.
And sometimes it's, I'm upset at you for not letting me have it because I see you eat cake.
Yeah, sometimes. It's not fair. Yeah, in that case, it's not fair.
Yeah, she's been on that a little bit lately.
Yeah.
So then there is this pent-up emotion that needs to go somewhere. Instead of internalizing it, it can be helpful to let it out. We don't want to stifle that. When do you know that that physiological release has run its course?
I think you gotta ask. I mean, this is how we do it in therapy, right?
Yeah.
You ask yourself, do I feel like, after you listen to it, you hear it out, you give the space for it, and you comfort it, right? Like, for example, her situation. Okay, tell me more about how upset you are and how awful it feels that you weren't allowed to have it, right? So or she says it or she cries it, whatever. You go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry, that's hard to feel that way. That's really difficult, right? So then if after you've done the comforting and the validating, you ask again, so how do you feel now? I still feel, okay, then you have to keep doing it. Then it's not done yet, right? But if you do that process and at some point you ask, so how do you feel now? Yeah, I think I feel better now, right? It's almost like it's all it's done.
Out of your system.
Yeah, it's done. It's understood, it's listened to enough, and then it's finished.
Okay, so in a therapy situation for an adult scenario that's like super serious and they come to you and they're feeling hyper emotional and they just need to release, you will actually be talking to them about this and walking them through this, and you validate how they feel.
And most adults, when they start crying, they'll keep trying to talk through it instead of allowing themselves to just cry. So usually I'll try and slow them down and say, I can see that the emotion is coming up now. Let's just leave a little space for it now to come out, right? So, because not like kids are good at it, they're better at it, so they'll just keep crying.
Yeah.
But the adult will try and hold it. So you have to encourage the expression of the emotion.
So it seems like actually we can probably to an extent do this on our own, where when we feel the crying coming, we make a choice to give it some space, to let the tears flow and let the emotions sort of flow. And what is it then? Like periodically in this episode, just ask yourself, you try and validate you comfort yourself and you validate yourself. What are some examples of that?
That makes so much sense that you feel that way. Of course you would feel that way, given that you really, really wished you could have had it. Yeah. And given that someone told you couldn't have it, you couldn't make that choice yourself. Yeah. That's not a nice feeling to have. It feels like control's taken away from you. And
you can let yourself hang out there of crying about, I really, really, really want it. I really want it. And then you just cry. You just let yourself cry through it. And then periodically you ask yourself, does it feel better now?
Yeah. Do I still feel the same, or do I feel slightly different now? Until you feel okay.
Yeah, I feel like if you periodically ask yourself that in an emotional episode, then you will find the point where you can be like, okay, like I don't need to keep going.
And I also think it's quite important, that many emotions and experiences cannot be finished right there and then on that day. There's times where you got life to live, right? Like you got to go to work, or your kid asks you for something important, or there's a crisis that needs to be dealt with, and it's okay to say, I hear you that it's not done yet and that it's still there, but I'm going to put it here and then I'm going to go deal with that, and I promise I'll come back and deal with it. But make sure you keep that promise, because otherwise you start to feel rift within yourself, where you don't trust yourself anymore, that you're going to fix stuff, that you're going to think about, that you're going to give yourself space to feel what needs to be felt.
I find that actually for myself, maybe I'm just a bit weird, but when I do stuff like that and I actually put it somewhere or into something, I find it helpful. Like if I need to process some shit and I go, I'm just going to place it in here for a while, I'll come back to it and I'll make it obvious for myself. Or like sometimes I'll put it in the bracelets or something like that.
You put it on this shoulder, that shoulder.
Oh, I don't do that.
Oh, you don't do that?
But sometimes I'm dealing with a work thing, like in the office, and then I'll have a thing come up and then I'll just put it on the side there, like on top of the notebook, and I'll visualize it as like some character. Is that weird?
I think visualizing it as a character is probably a step further than most people take.
But is that a thing?
It's very effective, yeah. I think it's something people should use. It's a tool that compartmentalizing. Right? Like putting it in yours is slightly different maybe, but compartmentalizing, characterization, whatever. But yours is a mix of the two, I suppose. But yeah, putting it somewhere, right? Externalizing it and putting it somewhere, returning to it later.
Yeah, I find it's easier to be like, it feels like it's not going to burn me up now as much. I just I let it burn.
You're not holding it, but you're just putting it aside.
Yeah. The trouble is when you keep piling things over there and then you just
don't do it, and then you're just like, ugh.
You're like, haha, I got a new trick. I just put it over here. You got nothing on me, emotion.
That's why I said you gotta come back to it. Otherwise then you're looking at a pile of you, and here feels empty because you're everything that you care about or that you felt is over there, and here is nothing.
I was playing around with this thought. I can't remember which book I was reading. If you are not letting yourself observe the emotion, because like it's a very Buddhist thing to like feel it, like to not judge it and to just let it pass through. But he said if you shut yourself, paraphrasing, he said if you shut yourself off to that, then it might work for that emotion. But when you get good at that, you shut yourself off to all emotions. And what you just said reminded me of that. And I think I've obviously trying to figure out how to work with men and trying to figure out different ways to communicate the value of processing your emotions. And like, I'm on this kick of trying to make it intelligent. So I'm using terms like emotional intelligence and talking about them like skills, which I do believe. But I think this is quite a good frame as well of, if you start burying certain parts and just not letting yourself feel, I think it prevents you from feeling in general. But I don't know if that's true. What do you think?
If you prevent yourself
from processing this emotion, that maybe something happened with a friend and I feel betrayed, or I feel offended, I feel the trust is broken, I feel sad, but you do the typical, I feel hurt, but you do the typical male thing of like, whatever, I don't give a fuck anyway. You do that thing, right? As a way to short circuit and go to like the few tools that you know, which is I'm going to power through it, I'm going to be aggressive, I'm going to be really assertive, I'm going to be decisive, like it doesn't matter, emotion doesn't matter to me. I'm laughing because obviously I've done this.
I'm going to go to the gym.
And by short-circuiting it, you're burying it, you're suppressing it, you're pushing it aside. My view that I'm working on is I think if you keep doing that, then you start to go numb to all feeling. You start to once you start burying one part of it, then and you keep putting it over there, it gets harder and harder to connect with any part of it.
I think what happens is that your body is trying to give you signals about how it feels. And at some point it's like, what the hell? I've given you thousands of signals and you just ignored me, you shut me down, like it doesn't even matter. So now I'm either going to stop sending you signals, right? Because there's no point doing it. But most commonly, it's like I'm going to send signals a different way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it just shifts. It shifts into physical manifestations of how you actually feel. Right?
Yeah. So you get anxious. So you got anger management issues. Maybe you have stomach cramps. Maybe you have headaches. That was mine.
But the other thing that I think happens is, if you think of emotion as a bubble coming up and it's saying, look at me, listen to me, understand me. And then you're saying, I'm not going to, right? Like either you distract yourself with whatever else, right? Or you like watching shows or scrolling, or you blanket it over, right? By going to the gym or whatever, doing something that feels better for the moment, right? But then all these bubbles, instead of getting looked at and understood so they can dissipate, they just start getting shoved under the surface, shoved and shoved and shoved. And then some small thing pierces the surface, like your wife speaks to you rudely, or someone pushes past you in the MRT, and then it's like everything just comes out all at once, all the backlog of emotional things that you haven't listened to or paid attention to, right?
And now that situation with that person is bearing the full brunt of
all the years of unprocessed emotion.
I mean, I'm laughing because I think almost every guy knows exactly this. I think almost every guy knows this feeling of something, of the straw that broke the camel's back. And then suddenly you unleash on someone who just does not deserve that full extent of wrath. And then you have to like figure out how to make amends and say sorry and explain about stuff. And yeah, that's another way of looking at it. That's another reason why we should get better at sitting with our emotions, labeling them, learning to process them, learning to manage them, learning to communicate about them, because it allows you to deal with the bubble that's bubbling up so you don't just get fat with bubbles, right?
And you're not burping them up all the time.
Yeah. Okay, switching gears a little bit. I think that was great, by the way. I think that was more interesting than some of the topics that we were thinking about talking about. We'll see where this one goes. This one is something that I was thinking about because I've been spending some time on social media. Social media is rife with people telling us what to do. And a lot of times you got people who are not quote unquote qualified to talk about medical stuff, psychological stuff, anything, right? And something has happened out there where if it's shot well and presented well, we don't need credibility. I'm not saying that you can't talk about certain things unless you have a degree in whatever. It's not that, because I do think there are many ways to gain the knowledge necessary to share. For example, I've gotten some of the best advice to take care of my quote unquote mental well-being from people who aren't trained, but they're just older and been through a lot of shit and had stuff to share about what helped them get through, right? So it's not like I think you need the whatever expertise specialization, but it feels like there's something deeper going on here. Like, why is it so easy for us to put so much trust in a stranger where because they look good and they speak well, we're going to trust their information about how to take care of our health, how to take care of our mental health. I don't know if this is like, one of my thoughts is maybe people just want to belong to camps and they just like, oh, this person, I kind of identify with this person, so I'm gonna start speaking like that because it makes me feel like together and, a group or whatever. But I can't really figure this out. It feels like,
I feel like there's a lot of things going on, right? One, I think human beings want to understand themselves, right? So if somebody says something that you've been questioning in your life and that makes sense to you in the moment, oh, maybe it's that feels really good, right? It feels really good to suddenly have an easy understanding for this thing you've been worrying about in your life, right? So you might latch on to something.
It's like confirmation bias, right?
Yeah, kind of. Like it helps you think, okay, so that's what it's all about. And it helps you finally feel like you have a grasp or understanding on it. Now, it rarely is that simple. It rarely is just that one thing. And now that I know this one thing, everything is solved. It isn't like that. But it feels like that in the moment. And so that could have been the clincher, right? The thing that hooked you into that particular person. And then from that one moment, you believe every single thing that they say after that, right? I think it also could be a little bit about the belonging thing. I do think that human beings really seek belonging. And so if they can find someone that they feel has a couple of traits similar to you, even if it's
or
just,
what you want to be.
Or what you want to be, yeah. It could cause you to go into this, let me do everything and listen to everything that this person is doing, right? But I mean, I think there's so many different factors of humans that happens here.
Yeah, I feel like, I guess I'm thinking about it from the perspective of, we have some friends now whose kids are 12, 13, 14, 15, who are just getting their phones and they're getting whatever kid versions of YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. And I can't help but think, what advice do you even give to kids? Because it's already so difficult for adults. Like, how often do we hear about adults, maybe us too in some ways, where like, I saw this thing on TikTok, and then we're like, what? Like, what the fuck are you saying? It's not, like, you need to fact check that, right? I don't really have my wits about me of, is that a phrase? My wits about me? I don't have a framework for what the hell to say to a 10-year-old, 12-year-old on how to have some critical thinking when it comes to what you see online.
Well, I mean, one of the ways, I suppose, is to think about how credible this person is. Like you said, it's not only about degrees, it's also about experience, right? It could be partially what the person has studied. If somebody is an engineer and we're talking about emotions, I mean, it's not to say they can't know about emotions, but you would want to know how they know the information they're sharing about emotions, right? So you have to understand this person's background.
Like if it was an engineer who had a relationship and then worked so hard and ignored the person, got a divorce, and then realized he had made such a big mistake, and then
went through therapy
and had to figure that out.
Yeah.
And like,
so if they can say, I'm sharing this, and the reason I'm sharing it is because I learned it from this, and it was effective for me in these ways, then you know how much to listen to it or not listen to it, right?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Isn't that the way?
Yeah, I think so.
You got to figure out a way to check behind whatever the person is saying. And I will say that in therapy, it will be very dangerous if they give us one chunk of information and we go, oh, right, it's this, right? And you label it straight away. You would never do that. I mean, in my opinion, a good practitioner listens from many directions and different perspectives before not deciding, even just hypothesizing that this could be what is going on. And even when you hypothesize it, you don't take it as for sure that's what it is. You take it as, what do you think of this, that it may be this going on? And then you try in many ways a solution to see if that solution fits,
Yep.
right?
Yep. I think most people don't really understand the pretty large gray area here when it comes to different types of psychologists as well, and the spectrum of psychiatry to psychology. And even within psychology, like a clinical psychologist that would diagnose, or like even the specializations that psychologists have, right? Some people deal with suicidal people. Some people deal with people with severe panic disorder. Some people in clinical psychology and some psychiatrists deal with people with schizophrenia, with like more serious things, right? And then there's psychologists that specialize in relationships or couples therapy or whatever. Like there's so developmental stuff, kids, whatever. There's so many ways to sort of skin the cat. Organizational psychologists that work in workplaces. And for a large, in my view, for a large portion of what most of us deal with, I don't know if there's that much value in the label.
Okay, here's the way I like to think about it. And this is a really apt moment for you to talk about this, because I was recently talking about this with a couple of clients, because I am not someone as a practitioner who likes to label or to diagnose any particular mental illness, right? Some psychologists do, and some don't lean on that heavily, right? My reason for not doing it is because I prefer to look at the person as an individual with a unique set of issues, difficulties, behaviors, emotions, and work directly with whatever they are. But they may fall into a certain diagnosis. And for some people, I have to acknowledge it's really helpful for them when it does fall in a particular category, and that category helps them feel like, oh, that explains why I've been going through all of this. And they really like it because it gives them that structure of, okay, then this is the way that I can see my issue. Right? So some people really like that. And some people...
Yeah, this is my bias then, right?
Yeah, and some people really don't like it because it puts them in a box. It's like, I'm not just that. I'm not just a person who's depressed. I'm not just someone who struggles with anxiety. I'm not just someone who has autism, right?
So it's really dependent on what works for the person.
Exactly. So the way that I like to frame it now is, if a label helps you have more understanding, more curiosity, more insight, then it's perfect.
More empowerment.
More empowerment, yeah. But if it reduces your accountability, it reduces your flexibility, your choice, your autonomy.
If it feels restrictive.
Yes, if it's restrictive, then it's
if it
no
feels
longer
limiting.
helpful. Limiting, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely know some people who would deal better with it if they looked at it like, oh, I have a vitamin D deficiency, so I have to work on this, and this. Okay, I'm presenting some symptoms of generalized anxiety disorder. I see that I do display some of these symptoms, and here are some tools that I can implement to work myself out of this.
Some common treatments.
I'm like, okay, let's go. Like, I got this. I can see some people.
Yeah. But then there are some people who use it, I think, in a harmful way. So they will say to other people, every time something upsets them, they use the word, you're triggering me, or you are, that's my trauma, don't touch it. Like things like that, right? Where I feel it's used too loosely. And as you can see in that situation, it's limiting, right? Instead of it being something where you say, you know, this is affecting me a lot. You're bringing up some feelings from the past. That's a struggle for me right now. That's sharing, that's opening, that's connecting. So in that sense of using it that way, I think it's fine.
Yep.
But if you say, no, don't come near me, don't touch me, you're setting my trauma off, that's limiting already.
Yeah, it's
Right.
limiting for you as the person who is laying that boundary, and the intention of the boundary is probably positive, that you feel that you need to protect yourself because of whatever's happened.
But
the way that you've done it, and also the mindset there, is that this has happened, so I am this way, versus this has happened and I'm trying to figure out how to manage it. I'm trying to figure out how to deal with it.
Figure it out together.
Yeah, let's figure it out together. And also, I'm not defined by the thing that happened. I think that's super important. And I see one of the topics that I wrote down that maybe we should talk about is this trend of TikTok as your therapist and ChatGPT as your therapist. It's part of this, and it's one of the most trending things in 2026. This self-diagnosis based on what you see on social media, and then you go look it up on ChatGPT. And I think when people feel that, finally I have the words to describe what I am, and this is my attachment style, so this is why I'm like this in my relationships, and so this is just what you have to deal with. I feel like if it stops there, you're sort of missing the point, right? For the people that it's helpful for, where now you feel empowered because I know it, the attitude that you can take is, all right, let's work on it. I recognize the pattern now. What can I do to work myself out of this pattern to get more out of life and to not be limited by this and not be shackled by something that happened in the past?
And so, I mean, I would equally suggest that just as therapists do, you for yourself say, it's a hypothesis. It's not what it is. I think it could be. And then you raise that with people that you might want to talk, have that conversation of, what do you think? Does this fit to you? Do you think it could be? If it is, then wouldn't this maybe help? Should we try this?
Yeah, that's super strong. Yeah, I feel like that would be so helpful, because I don't, as someone who dealt with like anxiety issues in the past, I don't take it lightly. When people hide behind their label of, I can't deal with that right now, my anxiety is just like through the roof, I take that very seriously. Or when people feel depressed, and I have a pet peeve there about how people throw around the word depression, but I have real empathy for it because I felt these feelings before, and it really sucks. But I don't want people to feel limited by it. And I think this, what you just mentioned about looking at it like, okay, I think I know what it is, but it's just a hypothesis. Let me test it out, is super helpful.
Yeah, because it gives more, right? It gives flexibility and curiosity and openness to it, and therefore paves the way for things to happen versus closing off.
It's not closed off. It's okay, and now what? Like, what can we do now?
And as you test it, you figure out, maybe that's not it actually, because when I tried that, it just didn't help that much. So maybe it's not that, maybe it's something else, and it helps you try discovering a different path.
Yeah. And I really feel like if people get stuck there at the label, and they have the attitude of, okay, I'm going to try and work through it, I feel like actually that would be such a great place to go get some professional help, because you've done your reading, you have an awareness, you have some ideas about it. If you take that to a therapist, a psychologist, a counselor, and you sort of flesh out your case and your hypothesis, I feel like you can sort of get to work on feeling better quicker, because you've already done all this thinking about it.
Yeah.
We don't have much time left. We got to go for dinner. But one last thing for the day is the one thing, your reality TV show thing. We can skip the other shit, but we're not going to skip that. So the segment is, Alex loves watching reality TV shows because she thinks it's research. And so
it is research.
And so as a way to like make it okay for her to watch lots of reality TV, she picks one thing to say to one character, one real human being on reality TV that would be helpful to them and maybe other people as well.
And listeners may be shocked to know that I'm on a different series this week than I was last week, which is Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders, the DCC. So From DCC, of all the characters, I'd like to say to Anna Kate that I'm really proud of her because she was receiving so much hate from the outside and it kind of crumbled her at some point. She was thinking of leaving just because the show had gained her so much visibility and so much hate that she didn't know if she wanted to deal with it anymore. But she decided to stay because she thought about it enough and realized that it was all about the other people that she could help on the team and the sisterhood that they developed, and that was more important to her and that was stronger to her. She could let that be what made her strong enough to overcome all the hate. And I was just really happy because you can crumble to the outside, but those people don't actually know who you are. These people do, and these people loved you. These sisters in the DCC, they loved the influence you had on them. They didn't have bad words to say about you at all. And so you chose to believe that over all those millions of other people. And I think that's what we all have to do. Is it doesn't matter how much hate you get. If those people don't know who you are, you have to stick with what you know about who you are. And the closest people around you know about who you actually are.
Yeah, I feel like that's such an important lesson for this era of social media. We should prioritize the opinions of people that have our phone numbers, that we speak to regularly, who know details about how we live our lives. Those are the opinions that matter, the people around you, the community around you, not so much what some random dude on the internet who, has seen something that you posted, not about what that guy said. It's funny, we tend to over-index on that stuff. Like, oh, I can't believe that person said something about me.
I mean, I think to be fair, I think it's good to consider it. Like if somebody says something from the internet and I don't know them, if I did read comments and stuff like that, I would want to think about, does this hold any weight? Is this true in any way? Before I threw it out, right? But if I didn't think it was true and it didn't hold any merit or water, I would want to easily be able to throw it out, right?
Yeah, easily is the operative word, but I think I struggle with that. And I think going through difficult shit a few years ago made me better at that. I used to care much more about what other people thought until the last thing crashed, and then I realized, oh, people don't even really, I don't even really care. And the opinions that I care about quite a lot. And so when I resurfaced and re-entered the world, I was like, oh, never mind what they think. I'm just gonna base my sense of self and worth and identity and my sense of whether I'm operating right or wrong on the closer circle versus the wider circle.
Yeah. Unless the wider circle really means well and they're trying to work towards a greater good, in which case I think it's really important to listen.
Yeah. Or if you're in a cult, then it's scary, right? Okay, we gotta go.
Okay, bye.
Bye.